Paul Tassi has an article called Xbox Game Pass is running out of wells to dig up new subscribers. If you guys like what I do here, we do this Monday through Thursday, usually from 10 o'clock in the morning to about noon Eastern. But this evening, as of May 13th, we're doing it in the evening to catch up because we didn't have a show in the morning. But if you like what we do here, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. We do appreciate you for coming out and hanging out with us. All right, so Xbox Game Pass is running out of wells to dig up new subscribers. Now, with Microsoft's long list of poor messaging and poor decisions this week, combined with rumors of behind-the-scenes problems with some of the top games and frequent points of coming up is how much it weighs and also been thrown behind Xbox PC Ultimate Game Pass. Now, the crux of the argument is great for players. Subscribers to Game Pass get the first-party Xbox games for free indefinitely, plus loads of other games if you own the Xbox. There's little reasons to not get Game Pass given the vast catalog it offers. Now, Game Pass is also positively rocking up its subscriptions during the COVID era when the mass lockdowns were also causing surges of boredom and turned into game spending. But those big reports numbers ended at 25 million subscribers in January of 2022. It took 2 years later for Microsoft to report new numbers at 34 million. Now, but that growth figure has caveats, namely unclear classifications of the conversation of the Xbox Game Pass core, formerly the Xbox Live Gold members, as part of that count. And how much of gain was due to the new Game Pass subscribers? To this day, it still has not been revealed how exactly things were broken down inside the new new figure. Here's the thing. Obviously, they're never going to tell us the exact numbers because if we know X, then we can figure out Y. You know what I mean? So they're never going to tell us this. But you and I, right? We're pretty smart, right? We can figure out that when they don't tell you the sales numbers and they just tell you how many players are actually playing the game, if they were excited about the players, right, they would tell you like 2 million people, 3 million people bought it, 5 million people bought it, 10 million people bought it. That's what they used to do in the past, but they don't do that now. What they do now is that they talk about it is numbers of people, hours played, right? Netflix does this with shows, hours watched, right? Not how many people watched it, but hours watched, right? So it doesn't really matter. Like one person could watch it 10 times. They still just count the hours, not the actual people, right? Then they also assume that 2 people or 4 people are watching the show at the exact same time in one household. So they're doing that. So those numbers are fake as well, right? So there's a lot of different numbers out there that are not realistic numbers, right? They just tell you like 30 million people playing Sea of Thieves, 5 million people playing this, 4 million people downloaded it. So it's very odd because obviously if you were in a business, you'd be like, yeah, dude, we had millions of people come in. Right? You would be excited to tell people what it is. Okay. So it says back in fiscal year 2022, court documents said that Microsoft expected 110 million Game Pass subscribers in 2030. Most recently, analyst Michael Packner predicts 200 million by 2034. Okay. Now, obviously, this number sounds astronomical right now. Okay. In what we know right now with the formula that we have right now, we look at this and go, there's no way Microsoft can do this. Okay. Now, we don't know what their plans are, right? We don't know if they're going to take, I've talked about this in the past, we don't know if they're going to take Battle.net and all of a sudden merge it in with Game Pass. And if there's like a 50 million people there or 100 million people playing World of Warcraft or whatever launcher that they have there, and all of a sudden they make that into part of Game Pass, then boom, those people that are paying $15 a month to play World of Warcraft might now be part of Game Pass, right? So we don't know what they're going to do in the future to sway these numbers, okay? PlayStation is doing the same thing. Nintendo does the same thing. They try to make you sign up for things so they go, well, we have 10 million PlayStation Network accounts. We have 10 million people playing on Game Pass Live. Whatever it is, they're going to use it to make this look bigger, because if this number's bigger, then it tells the customers, well, if there's this many people playing, it must be a cool thing, so we're going to get in on it as well. Okay? He says, Paul Tassi says, my question is how? Where are the new subscribers supposed to be coming from? Okay, in answer to Michael Packner saying 200 million, right? He says, here's all the math, and it turned possibly Microsoft's entire gaming model does not really work at this point, with Game Pass growth dramatically slowed, if not stopped. They're simply running out of wells to find new subscribers. And I think just based on what I've read so far, I think Paul Tassi is missing the case a little bit because I think people are still locked in on this. You have to sell consoles to get these certain things, right? And I've said in the past, Game Pass won't make it. Okay, I said it's unsustainable the way it is now. This is why they're moving to the cloud. This is why they're moving towards the stuff, because they need more people to potentially get Game Pass. And this is why I just said if they make battle.net into like part of Game Pass, that's an additional 20, 30, 50 million people that are part of Game Pass. If they get the Samsung TV thing and then all of a sudden people are playing, they're playing on Game Pass, those people count. If you get a Microsoft account, maybe down the road they'll do like, hey, sign up for Office 365 and we'll give you 3 months of Game Pass. I don't even know if they do that now. That'll count as well. They're trying to pull as many people as possible from as many different directions as possible. So we look at this and go, there's no way they're going to do this. $200 million or 200 million subscribers is impossible. And I believe that right now it looks impossible, but it's really not that difficult if they have sneaky ways to pull in certain content, certain levels of trickery. I don't know how to. My brain's not collecting the dots here, but like I just said, like if they get them on Game Pass and then they get them in Battle.net, then they get them in some other format, and they all bring them. That's how they get 200 million to get onto Game Pass. Not per se 200 million on Game Pass specifically just for that. Okay, so it says the Xbox console base. This is without question the primary place you'll find Xbox Game Pass subscribers. That's technically wrong, right? Because the Xbox Game Pass subscribers, the most right now is on PC. They said this a while ago with 15 million, I believe, on PC and 10 million when we knew it was 25 million. 15 million of that was on PC and 10 million was on actual console, right? So as you own a console, you play frequently. Game Pass is almost always going to be a good value option. However, Xbox has heavily de-emphasized console sales since its even previous generation, no longer reporting numbers and shrugging off big declines as it remains what it estimated to be around half of PlayStation sales or 2 generations now. Okay, here's another thing I don't like that reporters do. When they talk about one console but not the other, like they talk about PlayStation being 2-to-1, 3-to-1 over Xbox, but what is the switch to PlayStation 5? What's the switch to Xbox as well? No one ever brings in Nintendo into this conversation ever, right? They only leave the two big guys, right? For some reason. Okay, so it also says declines remains also estimated around half the PlayStation generation now, and if you are not selling lots of new hardware, you're not growing Game Pass in the era in the most likely to grow. And again, I don't understand this. If you notice, the revenue's up, yes, even with Activision, but they sold more games, they did more things for services, and sold less stuff. So the revenue's up, but their console sales are down. Okay, meaning more people are buying stuff than the actual hardware, they're buying software. Okay, he goes on to PC gaming and says, of course, there's also Game Pass on PC, but that's complicated. Part of Game Pass PC play may be the same people already playing some games on the Xbox itself. So that's not a sub. That wouldn't exist otherwise. But dedicated PC players are buying and playing most of their games on Steam, or if they have the various other launchers from Epic or Ubisoft. So the idea that there are PC players without Xbox that also feel that they need to pay for a yearly Game Pass subscription to get a handful of games, there is not a wide market, nor is there a poised to expand dramatically. Many Xbox games can be bought on Steam anyway, and you aren't locked into yearly subscription doing that. Well, there's a lot of people that don't care about, buying a game, right? I like buying my games, but there's a lot of people that don't like buying a game. They rather just rent it. They rather just, take it off the service, especially if you switch games all the time. Now, if you're a person that plays Destiny, you got your blinders on, man. You're playing Destiny. If you're a person that plays World of Warcraft, you got your blinders on. You're playing World of Warcraft. But there's a lot of you guys in my channel that like to jump between lots of different games. And if those lots of different games are on Game Pass, or all of a sudden they're on Steam, or all of a sudden they're on Game Pass PC, you get to jump back and forth, and that's good for those people. They're not spending $70 every time a game comes out. So, let's see. It says Xbox. Many Xbox games can be bought on Steam, which we just read. Okay, now cloud gaming. Okay, far and away, this is where the big dreams, Game Pass subscriber numbers predictions seem to be coming from. The idea here is that the cloud gaming market, where you can play on tablets, laptops, smart TVs, whenever, without the high-end PC or Xbox, is set to explode. I have seen no evidence of that, nor do I think any conceptual this makes much sense. I don't understand how people don't see what the future is, right? Like, go from like 1997 to 2007, right? We went from pagers to cell phones to smartphones. Okay, like we used to imagine a report back then going, "Oh, I can't believe people think we're going to be talking on these phones with no cords. How is it going to work? I have yet to see any evidence of this. I'm still working on my pager," right? And then all of a sudden, we got cell phones, and then cell phones moved, and then all of a sudden now a smartphone came. And before the smartphone came out, nobody thought that we would have computers on our cell phones. But then now it's a thing. We don't even think twice. We're like, who's got one of those flip phones, right? Like, this is a thing. So now you're telling me that the cloud gaming is not sustainable. It's not going to happen. And I'm like, I don't understand. So again, far and away, he says, this is where the big dreams and Game Pass subscriber numbers predictions seem to come from. Remember when Netflix first started? And people said, oh, well, they're delivering discs to your house. How's this going to work? And then all of a sudden, they went digital. And then you were watching them directly to your house. Now, I know there's a difference between watching a 2-hour movie or a television show and the size differential between that and a video game. And you don't have to control anything there. But again, to all of a sudden just kind of throw away the last 15, 20 years of where technology has come with streaming to say, I have yet to see the proof of this. The proof is already in the pudding, just not in the video game space. The music industry has gone to streaming. The movie industry has gone to streaming. I mean, hell, your comic books, your books, they're all just, you don't buy them anymore. They just stream them. Now, obviously, I understand video games are different because there's a lot more data going through. But how do you not see it? Okay? So it says first cloud gaming is not the best way to play any games right now. Of course not. But either was cell phones when you first played the game. But people played it, especially in the North America internet. He may be serviceable, but given the choice between playing a hardware or playing on the cloud, you're going to choose hardware. If you don't want to pay, for hardware, as Microsoft believes people don't, you are mainly going to get people not buying Xboxes, which Xbox has said that they're okay with that. That's why they want everything everywhere, which cuts into the side of their business, okay? Which they lose money every time they sell an Xbox, mind you. Okay, so if they don't sell an Xbox, but yet they can still sell the software, and still people buy the games, that's better for them because it's less money going out the door that they're not making back, okay? You may not even gain the subscriber if someone with the Xbox and a Game Pass subscription thinks cloud gaming is suddenly good enough to sell their Series X to GameStop, but keeps the same Game Pass sub. You did nothing there, but also removed someone from the hardware ecosystem entirely. Again, if you don't need it, then why do you need the Xbox? Right? If I could play the games on my cell phone, if I can play the games on my laptop, if I can play the games on my PC, if I can play the games on my television set, everyone thinks that everyone's like a super sweaty PvP player that needs to have like the best internet possible. Okay. It also says this is a fantastical idea, and there's some giant untapped market in the current non-gamers that would also play Xbox video games if only they didn't have to spend $300 to $500 on console hardware. Again, tech issue aside, there's no evidence in this large market. Mobile gaming exploded because it was the entirely different genre of games. No subscription, free games, casual games, essentially nothing at all like that 90% of the games that are on Game Pass. I don't know how are you going to convince someone who's not into core gaming at all, and at best is playing whatever mobile flavor of the month is big, and they also need to pay almost $200 a year for a new subscription because Starfield came out. Who are these people meant to be? That would be the other people that don't watch these videos, the other people that don't watch YouTube, the other people that are not watching Asmongold or Lyric, or, you know, like we're a small, finite little section of the video game industry, and yet there's billions of people, right? But only tens of millions of people are in this little circle, okay? Which I don't understand how people don't see. Call of Duty, right? Remember this. Call of Duty has said nobody wants to play mobile games. Nobody wants to play mobile games. Yet Call of Duty has 50 million people playing Call of Duty Mobile. Nobody wants to play mobile games, 50 million people played Call of Duty. Okay. Call of Duty is this one of the only series big enough to generate the potential somewhat significant amount of Game Pass subscribers on its own. And Microsoft is considering doing just that. And yet, it'll then lose all the incredible amount of sales revenue on its own platform by giving its way in that fashion. This is also a trick that can only be pulled once, and there's no way that on earth something like the Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to launch on Game Pass unless Microsoft just buys Take-Two, which I mean is not impossible at this point. Okay, it also is an easy for players to subscribe to Game Pass for a couple of months, play COD, and then cancel the sub. Game Pass on a rival hardware, I don't even understand this one. Why would Sony accept Game Pass on PlayStation if Microsoft just gets a cut of everything there and undercuts their own offerings? But in the contrast, why would Microsoft put Game Pass on PlayStation or Switch to dramatically boost rival hardware while running quite literally a risk of killing their own? Nothing but this makes sense, or nothing about this makes sense. So I do not know Game Pass growth is supposed to come from here. Microsoft does not have good answers for this, and the longer it goes on, the more I think it's all going to start to come apart. Well, here's the thing. If it does come apart, what's the safety net for them? Okay, if the safety net right now is that Microsoft is putting all their eggs in the basket to be a third-party publisher, and they want Game Pass to be that thing, and then all of a sudden it's not working for them for Game Pass, well, then they just stop making the console, right? And then they just become a publisher, just like EA, just like Ubisoft, just like Square Enix, just like Take-Two, just like all these other businesses that have been out there. Remember, Microsoft started their whole business with software by streaming stuff or putting software on actual devices, and now they're doing the exact same thing with gaming, and people like just don't understand it. They're like, I don't understand how this is going to work. You have to have a console to play video games. Even though there was plenty of things that happened in the past that you didn't need a full-fledged $350, $400, $500 system to play these things. But these are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. Please make sure you share, like, and subscribe. What do you think is going to happen with Xbox as far as Game Pass? Where are they going to get these 100 million or 200 million subscribers for Game Pass? Do you think cloud gaming will be a thing? Even if it does take 10 more years, do you think Microsoft could last 10 more years to have that be the more sufficient thing that's out there in the public? Let me know in this comment section down below. Like I said, please make sure you share, like, and subscribe. And if you like what I do here, please make sure you check out some of our other videos. Thanks for watching.